Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this fine Sunday evening? Hey, Inter Miami season has officially started. Training camp is open. We're ready to roll. This thing is going to just start getting better and better as the season goes by, as days go by. Lots of fun things to talk about. But, you know, there's noise in the background, and that's because I don't do this by myself. I have a noisy co-host who is, somewhere in South Florida. Everybody welcome everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Ed. How you doing, Ed?
Peter Brown. Can you see me? There you go.
Well, I see half of your face.
Yeah, I don't know why Tarnation just isn't focusing on me over here. Oh, there we go. I think that'll work. Can you see me? Well, whatever.
This is the pre-show, guys. This is the stuff that's supposed to happen before we go live, but somehow doesn't happen. But Ed is traveling somewhere in the highways and byways of Florida here.
Yes, I am, Peter Brown.
How you doing, Ed?
I'm good, man. Sorry, we just took a little bit long. You know what Latins, how we are. We take our time. We go places and then we figure we're going to be back at a certain time, or we have to be somewhere at a certain time, but we could never seem to get there on time. Or anything you project does not ever work out the way that you think it's going to work out.
See, I don't understand that, honestly. I don't get that because I'm not wired that way, Ed. I think you know that.
No, you're very gringo.
I know. And luckily, I mean, my wife is somewhat like that, but we've been married for, carry the one, move the thing that over there. It's almost 22 years.
Wow.
So she's come around to the gringo way of doing things. But, so I cannot relate to that. But I'm glad you found a way to join in. So that's whatever works. This works.
It works. It works. Got the wife driving, which is kind of cool.
So, is that a little scary? How's the wife at driving?
She's got a lead foot.
So you're gonna get home fast.
Yeah, we're gonna get there quicker than when I do. Oh yeah, she criticized me because she's like, "Go slow."
Yeah, it says you drive like a grandma or something.
I'm coming up from the Keys, and she needs to stick to the speed limit because they'll pull her over here. We're going up from the Keys, so
yeah.
Hopefully she'll listen to me and she'll stick to the speed limit. We'll see.
We shall see, right? Well, everybody, as always, the chat is open, so we've got a few people in the chat. I need to see more people saying hello in the chat. This is not nearly enough people in the chat. So everybody get active in there as Ed plays around with his camera every 5 seconds. And you gotta love the new things in software now. You just click your thumbs up and it automatically does thumbs up. It happens to me. I'm with Esteban, and Esteban before is saying Uncle Ed Blair Witch Project. I agree. It does have a very Blair Witch kind of thing here. I hope you're okay. There's no monsters chasing you. I actually never saw the Blair Witch Project. Did you ever see that movie, Ed?
I never did, because I saw the previews and I just saw, like boogers up people's noses, and that wasn't my thing.
I was actually watching this thing about the 90s. It was like some news thing, like what happened in the 90s and the phenomenons of the 90s. And they actually talked about the Blair Witch Project. But I never watched it. Mike V saying, always get caught in the stupid Isla Morada. The worst.
That's where the traffic is the worst. So,
I've lived in Florida, South Florida, for 54 years, and I've been to the Keys, I think, like 3 times, and that's it. It. I think I've been to Isla Morada. Isla Morada is like the first key, right?
Key Largo, technically, right?
Oh, see, I think I've been to Key Largo a couple more times, maybe. There's like this beach area that my sister used to like to use that was like cordoned off, like it's like a little lagoon almost with some rocks around it. She would have birthday parties there. But other than that, I've only been down to like all the way down to the Keys a couple of times in my entire life. And I'll tell you, one of the times I went, we're going off on a tangent early. One of the times I went there was my honeymoon. And we went down to the Keys. Now you think honeymoon, you want bigger and better, but you know, that's just what the situation, you know, that's where we ended up. And my wife loves to tell the story that I was more popular in Key West than she was. I was getting the looks, not her. And she was getting jealous because, you know how things roll down in the Keys.
Guys were checking you out.
She yelled at one guy one time going, "He's married," and holds up my ring and goes, "To a woman." Yeah, it's funny. All right, so saying hello to everybody in the chat. We've got the chat's not super busy today, but let's talk to those that are here. I see. First off, I see Damian Guzman is in here. He's asking about women's soccer. I'll be honest, I'm not educated enough on women's soccer. I don't know. I don't have a favorite player in women's soccer. Next up, we see Francisco Garcia is here. Jose Velasquez. Inter Miami needs to sign a defender. Yes, we definitely need to talk about that. One More One Goal is here. As we mentioned, Esteban is here. Mike V is saying that he meant so much, not so much about the traffic, but about the cops. They're always giving tickets in Isla Morada. And Baldwin 4 is here as well. So a light crowd tonight. But Baldwin, speaking about the women's team, would not be surprised if Miami has a women's team by 2025. Jorge Mas did say he was interested in having a women's team. I think the idea would be probably sometime after Inter Miami gets out of Drive Pink. Wouldn't you agree, Ed? If there's ever going to be a women's team, it would be sometime after they move to Miami, and the women's team probably plays in Fort Lauderdale.
That would make more sense. Yeah, they need to get the first team out of the Fort Lauderdale Stadium and moved into the other one. So
yeah, so I figured that's what
time to do it.
Yep, I figured that if a women's team's gonna happen, that's when it's gonna happen. But anyways, before we go too much further down the line, let's give a big thank you to our sponsors, and it starts with Caneswear. Caneswear is located in Davie, Florida, just south of 595 on University Drive. The best prices in town for all your Inter Miami gear. They're getting ready to stock up with all the new stuff. And go to caneswear.com if that's a little bit too far for you to drive. If you're in Isla Morada, for example, no worries. They'll deliver. Caneswear.com. And if you're looking to buy or sell a house, contact. Oops, hang on. I'm trying to find the right image here. Mia Rodrigues at 754-269-6923. Ed calls her the GOAT of realtors. So
she's on TV, Peter Brown.
What? Yes, she is on TV, and that was the first slide that I showed here. Selling Florida, she's on there. You want to watch her? Check her out on any of these local networks, CBS, Fox. She's on all of them. So check her out. And you want to buy or you want to sell your house? She's the one to talk to.
Make it happen.
All right. A few others checking in. Eric Thomas checked in, and Tank is here as well. So a few more checking in here as time goes by. But Ed, starting things off, these fellas here got together for the first time in a long time. And, first day of training camp in the books.
Yeah, and Marco's calling them the Fantastic Four, los Cuatro Fantásticos in the Spanish show. And, that's what they are, man. There are the four pillars of this team, I guess you could call. And the rest is gravy.
Marvin Miela is making sure we understand he is here as well. Greetings from Ecuador.
It's a little crazy in Ecuador right now.
Yeah, I heard there's a little nuts there. You just got out of there, so that's good.
I just barely made it out.
Yeah. But so it was good. I saw a little video clip. I didn't want to show it today because I didn't want to get copyright. I don't know. But of those guys passing the ball around, it sounds like from Tata, the practice was really short. It was really just kind of dip your toes in there, and it was like a 20-minute practice, and that was it. But they just moved the ball around a little bit. The four guys. I saw somebody already talking about the fact that Luis Suarez is walking around with a slight limp. And when I read that, I reminded me, and I went and Googled. There was an interview recently of Luis Suarez talking to some Latin American media. I forgot who it was, where he talked about that limp and saying how, and this is one of the things that concerns me about him, and I've made it known here, that in order to play, 3 days before a game, he gets some sort of treatment. I forgot what it was, but some sort of treatment. And then the day of the game, he gets like cortisone shots, things like that, just so he could play. So he definitely has knee problems, but he did also say that is why he walks with a limp. So it's like the limp isn't going anywhere. The limp is there. That's just the way the man walks. So some people on Twitter were reading into the limp, a little bit of a limp, thinking that this might be a new injury or something. Nah, that's just the way the man walks these days. So he's got to get all juiced up in order to play. But if Brazil season is any indication, if he could stay healthy, he is going to light MLS up. Wouldn't you say, Ed?
I heard that Tata was saying that he might play with two forwards, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that is definitely interesting. The conversation has been, how does Campana fit into this squad? There was talk about would Campana be sold and all that kind of stuff. Some people feel like you should buy his contract down and then bring in another DP, young DP. Not a bad idea. But, Tata did talk about potentially. He did say kind of like a maybe. I watched all the interviews today. I found a website, thanks to Eric Thomas, that translates things, a YouTube channel. But TY Sports, I think it was, they translate all these things because Inter Miami is not translating everything, but these guys do. Anyways, he did talk about potentially playing Campana and Suarez up top together. That's what I want to see, right, Ed?
That would be fantastic, man. I think we would be. Basically, we got what's that new player we got? The German guy. I forgot his name, dude. We just got him from Columbus.
Julian Gressel.
Julian Gressel.
You threw me off when you said German because, yes, I know he's of German descent, but he's American, so it kind of threw me off when you said German.
He was born in Germany.
I know.
He's apparently really good at centering the ball. So you got two target men up there, dude. That is going to be, the goals we could score from headers has just increased massively.
Well, he is, especially during his time in Atlanta under Tata. Julian Gressel was known as the best crosser in MLS. Now, can he get back to that? Because I mentioned this last week. My concern with Julian Gressel is that he has bounced around a lot. His best years were in Atlanta, or year, maybe. I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 years. But the best was when he was in Atlanta. The positive, that was the time that he was under Tata Martino.
Yeah.
So, can Tata bring that out of him again? Because since then, he's bounced around quite a bit.
Yeah, like you're saying, I think that Tata might be the one to bring the best out of him. He's been playing different positions as well, which is, in a way, is good because he could play. He doesn't necessarily just have to be, on the right hand side as a right back or as a, or he could also play as a central defender. So, he's a wild card, and I think we need players like that.
Yeah, for sure. So getting service in, because that's part of the problem. And I really want to see, we talked about this before, is I want to see Messi withdrawn a little bit. Sometimes he's listed as a forward. I want to see him more as a number 10 or coming off on the right. I know some people put him on a right wing or whatever, but I want him withdrawn a little bit. Yes, he'll obviously score, but because at times, no matter who is the forward, whether it be Messi or somebody else, we've had hard time getting the ball. Julian Gressel being able to cross the ball in because last year when Campana played, they didn't always play to Campana's strength, which is air balls, like you say, and Julian Gressel can deliver that, and so that's a positive. And then on the other side, you have Jordi Alba is really good at crossing those balls as well.
Yeah, so I'm starting to wonder if we're going to need some of those players on the right-hand side. Are we going to get rid of, gosh, man, I'm forgetting all the names right now. What is wrong with me?
What's that?
Who plays in the right as a right back for us?
So when we talk about, hang on, let me pull something up here. Let me shoot down some images. We're talking about the roster now. So, geez, I should have turned all these off before, because now everything I might want to talk about is showing.
So
here, this is via the Athletic. This was kind of like the depth chart up until recently. I mean, it doesn't mention the newest signings, but our depth chart here gives you an idea of who might be playing. So, what you were referring to what position, Ed?
Yedlin.
Yedlin's there. So Yedlin and Gressel, to me, play the same position.
Yep.
Now, of course, you could have, if in this scenario that's shown here on this image, you've got Gressel possibly playing as a right back or as a right winger. But if they play like they did last year, your left and right back are practically wingers. They're pushing up so much that I think that's a Gressel position. And when you talk about, I actually wanted to talk, we're bouncing around quite a bit, but we wanted to talk about players that may come or go. Another thing that Tata said is he foresees one or two players leaving the team. So could somebody like Yedlin leave the team, or do you keep him just because of depth? We're going to play a lot of games this year, and so they definitely need depth in that position. Oh, in all positions. So, and you can only buy out so many contracts. So the question is, can they trade someone like Yedlin? Because you don't want to buy him out.
No, you'd probably get something good for Yedlin, because I think he still has something to contribute. But I just think the last couple of years he's been a little inconsistent, in my opinion. So I put Gressel in there as a starter just to see what he's got going.
Oh yeah.
And maybe get somebody else as a right back. I mean, looking at that list, Peter, I mean, if we start up front, I heard Stefanelli is possibly out. He's got interest from other teams. I think a team from Chile was after.
Yeah, Everton from Chile. It's not the Everton from England. Everton from Chile is apparently interested in Stefanelli. We've also heard there's interest in Gregory. But he was, with all the interest in Gregory, he was at training camp. Just so we those people that were not at the training camp, we had Jean Mata, who was not at training camp, and is somebody that, in my opinion, at this point is probably expendable, right? Drake Callender was not at training camp either because he's with the national team. And Robbie Robinson, who I definitely want to talk about today, was not at training camp either. So let's jump into talk a little bit about Robbie, because this is a hot topic, I think, for this club. And I mean, I remember just earlier today talking about this with some people online. Does Robbie Robinson still fit in this club? Now, we were thinking Robbie was on his way out because a lot of rookie contracts are about 4 years. But what some of us don't remember or didn't realize is that in October, Robbie's contract was exercised. So he had a 1-year team option, and it was exercised along with Ian Frey, Cole Jensen, Robbie Robinson, Ryan Saylor, and Lawson Sunderland, and Robert Taylor. Those are all players that had their options exercised. So Robbie is technically under contract for 2024. Meanwhile, he already has an injury.
Oh, man, Peter, that's, this guy is just, I don't know what to say about him. I think he's got potential. I think he's a good player, but, he's just so, so prone to injuries that is it even worth it anymore?
So Tank is asking, how cheap can we keep Robbie for? Last I checked, Robbie makes around, give or take a little bit, $200,000 a year. So that's relatively cheap. It's relatively cheap. That's not academy player cheap, right? It's not like the young guys that they just recently brought up. They just brought up Tyler Hall, who's 17 as a center back, and Israel Boatwright, also a right back, who's 18. So clearly those guys are a lot cheaper, and those guys are probably also Generation Adidas players that don't, if I remember correctly, I'd have to Google it to double check, but Generation Adidas players, if I remember correctly, do not count against your cap. So if you wonder why Inter Miami loads up on academy players like that, that's why. Because if they're also Adidas players, which a lot of them are, they do not count against your salary cap, or it's a very small hit. I'd have to double check that. If anybody in the chat wants to double check that for me, that's great. That'd be great. But and here's the thing: is people talk about Robbie, they talk about he might have gotten out of shape, according to Tank. I hear a lot of people giving Robbie online. I was scouring the social medias today. A lot of people giving Robbie a hard time, calling him out as a bad professional. Now, that could be the problem, or could it be just that his body is not meant to be a pro soccer player?
That's what I'm thinking, Peter. I think he's just not made for all these, for all the bumps and stuff that a soccer player, gets. He's just too prone to injury, and he might be a good player, but maybe he's just a good player when he plays with his buddies, and he's just not made for this.
See, here's what I'm talking about. Here's one of the people online, our favorite troublemaker, Louis Rodrigues. Robbie is a slacker, not disciplined enough. Okay, Louis, how do you know that? Do you hang out with Robbie? Do you watch him in the off season? Do you know what he does in his off time? How do you know he's a slacker? Let's not just cast dispersions on people saying he's a slacker when you don't know. I mean, just some people, like, their bodies aren't meant to be to do this. Hey, look, he might be a slacker, but I just hate the fact that everybody throws a player under the bus like that when you don't know. But you are right about this, Louis. He is injury prone. That is for sure. Why is what I would like to get down to. If we could find, and we probably never know, but I would love to know, why is he injury prone? I don't think it's per se that he doesn't care, that he's a slacker. I don't get that. I don't think so. The guy, when he's in the game, he gives it his all. He makes an impact when he plays. I am a fan of Robbie Robinson. I'm one of the few Brady cheerleaders for Robbie Robinson. But he is Mr. Glass. You breathe on him a little bit, and he goes down.
You breathe on him, and he goes down.
You breathe on him.
You blow, and the guy falls.
I mean, I remember I was there at the Barcelona game last year, preseason. And he got a small little tackle. And then he was out for almost the entire year last year. So Louis thinks that injury prone leads to not taking care of himself. Easy. No, I don't think it's that easy. I don't think. You're not a doctor, and you don't know, Louis. I love you, Louis, but you don't know. So, and none of us do. None of us do. So I think we should all be careful about throwing people out like that. Here's the thing. He's got one more year in a contract. He's fairly cheap. In my opinion, you keep him. Because, again, when we go back to depth, he does make a difference when he plays.
Yeah, he does.
Wait, where is he? There he is on the left.
He gives a spark when we go on attack. So he makes mistakes, but but he does make an impact. And I remember a couple games where he came in and he actually did, stuff that made him stand out.
Yeah, exactly. The last few games he played, he stood out. He came in only for a little bit of time and made an instant impact. He loves doing those step overs. I mean, I don't know if he learned them from oh darn it, what's his name that was on our team that loved to do the step overs as well. I forgot his name right now. But
Pizarro?
No. It's Lassiter. Ariel Lassiter. He was a king of that. I was thinking about his dad played for the Fusion.
Yep.
So, when it comes to Robbie though, oops, hang on. When it comes to Robbie, something that Eric is putting in here, NASL. Now there is no NASL, but Robbie's future, if he can't cut it with Inter Miami, it could potentially be USL Championship. Is that his future, or is he? Is he trade bait? Are there any teams out there that would take a chance on an injury riddled player that seems to make a difference when he's on the field? Could we trade him? Like, I'm a fan of his, but I got no issue with trading him. I don't want to just cut him, especially when you still owe him money, because you can't cut him. You got to pay him.
Right.
But trade does Portland want him? His old coach is up there in Portland.
Let's talk about old coaches, Peter. If we, a little segue here. We got another player. There we go. Transition. There's another player that could also go to Portland. He hasn't been to training either.
Yeah. His son. What's his name?
Yes, he is. Harry.
Harry. Yes, Harry. Harry Henderson.
Harry and the Hendersons. Well, that's Northwest. Maybe they could start calling him that.
Or Harry Styles is what I hear in this house all the time.
But yeah, there's a player right there. Yeah, that maybe the Neville
Harvey. We're saying Harry is Harvey.
Yeah. Harvey. It starts with an H. So yeah, that's the thing. Harvey hasn't been to the training. He's still, I believe, under contract with Inter Miami. What's the deal there? Did he ask for permission? Or is he maybe gonna go back and hang out with Pops in Portland? I think it would be a mistake for him to do something like that. He needs to get under the wings of his father and do his own thing. So, and if he could do it with Inter Miami, all the better. But I think he would still do a decent job with Inter Miami. But not seeing him, practicing, I think is an issue.
I would agree. I'm trying to pull up images as on the fly.
There he is. Harry and the Hendersons. I mean, Harvey. Harvey Neville.
Yeah, it is odd that he is not with the, now. Obviously, if he's not with the team, he has permission, right? So, does he have permission because they're going to trade him? Does he have permission because they're going to cut him? Who knows? I'm curious what the chat thinks about Harvey. One World, One Goal is saying that Harvey asking for a trade, I think he's actually very good. I haven't seen Harvey come out and actually say that he's asking for a trade. I think that's another one of those people just, putting things in. I don't know. Where's that been said? I'm not sure. But it makes sense that he might go visit Daddy. But I agree with you. If he wants to advance as a player, he's got to move out from underneath the wings of his father and just see what he can do without old Daddy there giving him a starting spot. He's a good player. I don't have a problem with him still being part of Inter Miami as depth. Clearly spend most of his time playing on maybe the 2 team, Inter Miami's 2. But we're gonna need depth. We're gonna need, because there's so many games this season. They're playing so many different tournaments. They try to get out of the Open Cup, but clearly U.S. Soccer said no. So that's another tournament. Tank says, I really like Harvey. Great, hardworking, humble kid. Definitely has potential. Steve Munoz says Neville is not coming back. So, that's all opinion at this point. We don't know anything for sure. But
maybe he needs to do what Romeo Beckham did and just move on.
Get loaned out to some lower level team in England and claw your way up.
That might be the solution for him. Just to make a name for himself.
Possible, but yeah, there's several players that could come and could go, but we're running low on time, as far as making changes, and they do need to, they're getting ready with Ed is what their first preseason game. The first preseason game is what, Friday?
Yeah.
Here, if we go here, web. Oops, let me change this to Safari. And boom, we see the web. See that January 19th, which is just 5 days away. That's Friday. They're going to be in El Salvador. And then a few days after that, Dallas. So all these players are going to get a lot of time, I imagine, because that's something I actually wanted to talk a little bit about is balance and Tata talked about this as well, balancing the business from the players' health, all that. The team needs to get in shape, but this is a tour like we've never seen in MLS before. LA Galaxy did something similar to this when Beckham joined Galaxy, but it wasn't 7 games. And this is a 7-game tour that Inter Miami is embarking on, where you start wondering, is it business over players' health? Because it's a little bit of that. So but Tata did talk about there's that balance of, you've got a contract with, say, teams in the Arab countries, the Arab world. What country are they going to?
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So or in Hong Kong and all these countries, there's probably a contract that expects Messi and Suarez, for example, to play, but they're not going to play the whole game. They may only play 20, 30, 40 minutes, and that's it. So it is a lot of games in a short time, but they're going to get a lot of all these players that we're talking about are going to get their opportunities to show off. But yeah, where are some of the players? We talked about Harvey. Where is he? Is he going to be on this tour or not? We don't know.
Right.
Louis Rodrigues talking about that schedule. It's a vigorous workout for them, but competition and MLS games will be just the same. Lots of rotation will happen to keep players healthy. Yeah, we're going to see, I think, more rotation on this team than we've ever seen before, at least with Inter Miami. That's part of the issue of having older players, is that you're going to have to rest them. They cannot play every game. So and that the crazy thing is, they play this big long tour. Do they then potentially rest players on the first game of the MLS season. They can't do that.
Right.
And the first MLS game of the season for Inter Miami is against Salt Lake on February 21st. So it's coming up. It's coming up fast, which is exciting. The season is starting already. It feels. I mean, I'm excited, Ed. I mean, once I saw that they were kicking the ball around, I got excited. So that's good.
It is cool, and I recently got interviewed on when was this? Yesterday, by a guy from Der Spiegel in Germany, and he was at the training and everything, and he was pretty excited because there were like tons of people there. He was saying there were a lot of
right.
Wasn't able, I don't think, to question in. So he said there was a lot of interest from around the world. There were people from everywhere. So if you imagine Germany, we technically only have one German player there. So I said he was able to talk to him. So that was good.
That's good. Yeah. There was definitely a lot. I saw that there was I saw on Twitter some reporters there talking trash about some of the players, like, oh, these are the scrubs, because Messi and company hadn't come out yet, talking some trash about some of the younger players or what have you.
Evil, man. They're evil. Yeah, because they only want they're only the elite. And one of the things on the interview that I talked about was like, one of the questions was, what did I think about the price hike? And we've talked about that so much that I'm actually tired of talking about it. But I just thought, that I'd mention that he agreed with me, saying that he thinks that the real test is going to be when the Fantastic Four are gone, and if Inter Miami will be able to keep, the prices up the way they are now.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, well, that's what we kind of talked about before, and I would love. We're trying to get Chris Henderson on the show. I've got his information. I've reached out to him. I'm trying to get him. Realizing right now is probably his busiest time of the year, so it might take a little time, but we're going to work on it. Why did I get off topic? Where were you talking, Ed?
Well, yeah, because we were talking about the price hike.
Price hike. That's one of the things I want to talk to Chris Henderson about is the plans for the future. I wouldn't expect him to name names, but the fact that they have to be thinking about that next big player now or even last year. So if it took 2 or 3 years to get Messi, because they talked about having a meeting with Messi, 2-3 years ago, just kind of planting the seed. So if it's going to take that long to get that next best player available, they need to start yesterday.
Yeah, and they don't need to fall asleep because, once he's gone, we need the next best thing. So that doesn't.
Otherwise, you cannot charge those prices without that next big thing. Whoever that next player is, I don't even know. But whoever that next big name is, there's nobody going to be the size of a Messi, but still, who's that next? Is it a Mbappe? Is it somebody like that? I don't know.
Are we going to recycle players, Peter? I'm hearing Carlos Vela might go from LAFC to LA Galaxy.
I saw that.
Mercenaries, I tell you.
That will be fun. If Vela plays for Galaxy, that would be awesome. That's kind of reminds me of when Landon Donovan went from the Galaxy. He went from San Jose Earthquakes to the Galaxy, which was that was the closest rival at the time, and that was a huge insult to the to the Quakes. But he was young and he wanted to play for the bigger club. Pablo Galasso says Beckham says he wants Neymar someday. Yeah, he said that a while ago in an interview with Neymar. But how old is Neymar?
Neymar, I think he's hitting I think he should have hit 30, maybe 29, 30.
Neymar is 31. So Neymar could be kind of like that next level of player. Like, so you're talking about bringing in an older player like Messi, who's that next big player that could help the team slash on field, but even more so off the field and marketing. That could be
That's Neymar.
I mean, his name has been dropped many, many times over the years. Is that somebody they could be working on now to try to convince to come in 2026? Because, we got Messi this year and next year. And then he's got an option. So
I think they'll go for the option because I don't think the stadium will be ready by then.
Well, I guess it's up to him if he wants to play. The team's not, of course the team wants him. No matter what, they want him. But if he's up for it, I guess. Here's the concern. Don Bear says, Neymar loves Miami life. Lots of party. That's the problem. Some of these Brazilians love to party.
Yeah.
Who was that Brazilian coach that was for the old Miami FC that I became friends with? Oh man, I can't remember. I was close with him for a little while. Zinho.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Zinho would tell me. Zinho was a clean living man by the time I met him. But Zinho would tell me stories about when he came to play in the United States for the World Cup back in 1994. I think it was 94, right? 94. And he said at that time he was the first person to get in the samba line and the last one to leave it. He was your typical Brazilian, wanted to party like crazy, go nuts. And then he decided to change his life around. He found God, he found Christ, and he changed his life. But and that's how I got to know him, through church. But he would tell some stories about those crazy party days. And basically, some of those stories were the fact that his wife stuck around with him because he was that guy. And I don't necessarily need that guy playing for Inter Miami. Yeah. When we speak about players that want to play for Inter Miami and stuff, and one of the things that I liked listening to Luis Suarez, I watched all the interviews with Luis Suarez today. One of the things I liked about him is, every team has their kind of mantra, their catchphrase, their pillars, right? And part of Inter Miami, the one thing that's always talked about is freedom. Freedom to dream. Freedom. They use the word freedom a lot. This comes from Jorge Mas. And Luis Suarez dropped the word freedom many, many times. And talking about freedom, he didn't say freedom to dream, but he basically was saying the same idea. And speaking about, chances of winning it all. And he's like, we've got the freedom to dream. We've got the freedom to think big and all that kind of stuff. And when I heard that, it made me happy because I thought to myself, him saying the word freedom is kind of like that Inter Miami catchphrase. And the fact that he keeps repeating it means he's bought in, at least to my opinion. He seems like he's bought in. And I like that a player has bought in. And when I think of somebody like wants to party a lot, like a Neymar, I get concerned. Is he really buying in? Kind of reminds me of Ronaldo. Brazilian Ronaldo. When he was finished playing, all right, he already became Fat Naldo, right? He was Fat Naldo at that point, and he had signed some sort of deal with the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, and he was supposed to show up at the do some ceremonial things for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. One of them was to do a ceremonial kick out, whatever, push out, however you do it, hit the first puck in a Florida Panthers game in the name of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, wearing a Strikers jersey. He didn't show up. He was too busy gambling and partying at the Hard Rock Casino. He missed it. And so that's kind of some of the Brazilians and that some of the reputations. So that's something I definitely respected about what Suarez said. He seems like he's very business. He knows what he's here for. It's just a matter of if his body can stand up to it. So We lost Ed. So if you're wondering what happened there, we lost Ed. He is driving. So one world, one goal saying that Suarez speaks English for you, Peter. I saw that in the interview. Majority of the interview was in Spanish. Clearly, that's where he's comfortable. But he did answer one question in English. So that was cool. But let's be honest, 98% of the post-game interviews with Suarez are probably going to be in Spanish because we've got plenty of Spanish-speaking reporters that'll ask him questions in Spanish. So, Christopher Harris, our friend from World Soccer Talk, saying, have you heard anything about the stadium naming rights for Lockhart changing to Hard Rock? Lockhart just added new Hard Rock signage around the outside of the stadium. So, no, I have not. But last year, that Hard Rock signage already started to pop up. So I think at this point, at least, nothing's been announced. But at this point, I think the only thing Hard Rock is sponsoring that we're aware of, at least, is that corner, the northwest corner. It was the XBTO Northwest Corner, whatever they called it. It is now called the Hard Rock Terrace. So, but I'm curious, Christopher, if there's more signage beyond that. It sounds like we might have Ed back.
Can you see me, Peter Brown?
Yeah. I could hear you in the background. That's the only reason I knew you were back.
Yeah, I can't. For some reason, I can't see you, but it's all good. We're working.
Oh, that's fine. I can see you and hear you. But Christopher Harris asking about the naming rights for Lockhart. It's curious. I might take a drive over there just to see if there are any more signage than beyond what I talked about. So as far as I know, the only thing that's changed is the Hard Rock Terrace, which was the Northwest Corner Lounge for. Me and Ed have had the luxury of hanging out there a couple times, so it's a good place. But as of now, I think it's still Drive Pink.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen because then it would be really confusing. Which Hard Rock Stadium, the little one or the big one?
You wouldn't.
I think it's overkill.
Well, you could manage that. Look, there was for a little while. In MLS, now 2 different cities, but same idea. There were 2 Toyota stadiums. If I remember correctly, I think it was FC Dallas had Toyota Park. And then I'm not 100%, but I think it might have been Chicago that had like Toyota Stadium. There was 2. So that's what you would do. So if the Dolphins Stadium is Hard Rock Stadium, you would call this like Hard Rock Field or Hard Rock Park. You'd give it a different title, similar but something slightly different. But unless Christopher knows anything more, I think the only signage, at least that I've seen change, is specifically that northwest corner. So I haven't heard anything else. Has anybody else heard anything else in this chat? So.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be kind of confusing, and I wouldn't go for it. I think it'd be a bad move. Too much Hard Rock.
One more, one goal saying, Peter, that big old anchor was on the step and repeat, even though they haven't been announced for Media Day presser. They have been announced. Last year, Royal Caribbean was announced as a major sponsor. Now, they were not announced as a shirt sponsor, but we all kind of guessed that might be what major equals. So they were announced as a major sponsor. I forget exactly when it was announced, but it was definitely announced sometime last year. I'm Googling. So this was back in.
They never did name. They never said it was going to be the shirt sponsor. So.
No, I mean there's plenty of articles that say it's going to be a jersey sponsor as of December, but that's not when the announcement of the partnership was made in August. So as of August, they announced the partnership. So they've already been announced as a partnership, so it makes sense that they would already be on the step and repeat. Interesting thing though to that step and repeat thing that One World was mentioning is that XBTO has been removed. They are not on that step and repeat. So that's an interesting thing.
Whatever happened to XPTO?
Let me ask you this, Ed. What is XPTO?
Well, supposedly...
See, that's the problem. Right there. Stop. Right there. You said supposedly means you're not 100% sure. Nobody knows.
Yeah. But they got a lot of advertisement.
They did. Yeah. But yeah, it's supposedly, like you said, a Bitcoin management system.
Yeah.
Some sort of application to manage your Bitcoin.
Yeah. Manage Bitcoin and all the other coins out there.
Pablo saying he has a feeling that the new stadium will have a big anchor on the building. Could. It could. Tank says the big scam was like Xmana. Remember Xmana was a sponsor? That was a gaming... Yeah. They were supposed to like add some like gamification to your days at the stadium. That never happened.
What happened there?
Yeah, that was interesting. But I, it makes sense that Royal Caribbean right now is sponsoring us, even though they fought against us having a stadium close to their port. But they just launched their brand new ship, Icon of the Seas. It's their biggest ship ever. It's brand new. They've got another one coming up right behind it. So they're growing. So they've got 2 or 3 new ships.
Ship, right?
What's that?
It's a sister ship, same model?
No, Icon of the Seas is a new model. It's a new class. It is the biggest. Now, the one coming after Icon, I believe, is part of the same class as Icon. So they'll probably call those the Icon class, because normally whatever in Royal Caribbean, normally they call the class the first ship of that class is the name of the class.
Just like Star Trek. That's what they do too.
Okay. I don't. What? So everything is called the Enterprise?
No. That wasn't the first ship of its class. They had the Constitution class.
Okay.
They had the Galaxy class. All those were, named after the first ship.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Pablo is saying Star of the Seas is the next one. Yeah, I didn't know the name of it, but okay. Yeah, I mean, I went on a Royal Caribbean this past summer. It was awesome. I went on one of their old ships, though, but it was still pretty awesome. So, here, Don Bear is breaking out what XBTO. XBTO is a platform for digital coin investors, but the one for big investors. Like millions and up. All right, well, they obviously couldn't pony up more because at the time of renewal,
they said, we're good.
Royal Caribbean said, we'll take it. So
we want your business, Forget about, us trying to cock block you guys from having a stadium. We'll pay for advertisement. We'll be
Eric Thomas calling me out. If you were a real Trekkie, you would have known that by now. The classes of the ships. I love Star Trek, but I love Star Trek, but I like Star Wars more. But I like both. I don't know what this is about, but Steve Munoz saying El Salmon Kit. El Salmon Kit. I don't know what that is, but...
Oh, the Salmon Kit. He's talking about the jerseys.
Yeah, we talked about the jerseys last week. We still don't know if any of those images are accurate. What we did hear from two different people is that the Miami Dolphins one is not the accurate, jersey. I can't give more information. I was given a little bit of inside information, but it may be close, but not the exact same. And then the pink one, some people said that was not accurate either. So who knows? Richard Greenberg checking in here at the end of the show up in freezing Canada. Man, it is cold in some place. Did anybody see that Miami Dolphins versus Kansas City Chiefs game, how cold it was there. It was like -5, but it felt like negative 24.
That game, Peter Brown. How could the Dolphins win that game when it was freezing over there?
Well, apparently they couldn't win it. They could not win it. It was.
Well, it was too cold.
No, it was too dang cold.
I was gonna tell you, every time my wife always tells me we should move up north because it's cheaper or whatever. But right now she thinks it's cold in Miami. So imagine her going up north.
Yeah, I mean, if she's talking but your wife is talking about North Florida. Your wife wants you to move to Ocala.
No, I don't think.
Yes, she does. To move closer to her daughter.
Even there, it's cold. Right now,
I know. Well, it gets a lot colder. My dad, who lives in Ocala, is always sending me pictures of his he's got like a little bird bath, and he loves to send me pictures of the bird bath frozen.
Wow, that's how cold it is. I'm telling my wife right now, it's frozen.
Yeah. One World, One Goal saying something about the MLS Media Day. We saw it for the shorts and socks. It was very salmon on Busquets and Alba. Had a very pink jacket. That was cool. Yeah, I think the socks and shorts he was wearing were the same old socks and shorts. I saw the image. The jacket definitely was a little bit different color of pink. But I think he was wearing underneath that the standard Inter Miami shorts and socks. I don't think the teams have the gear just yet. So.
Yeah, I don't think they're showing that off just yet.
No, they're not. What you saw there is, and different lighting, things show differently. I mean, we've seen the same jersey, this reported jersey that's on footy headlines. We've seen it several different times, and each time it looks like a different shade of pink. The first shade of pink, I thought it looked salmon, and I was not happy with it. The most recent version looked a little more accurate. So, but I'm a big believer in the pink needs to stay the same. Pick a damn color and stick with it. You want to go off the rails? That's what your third kit is for. But just stick with the color.
Dolphin color.
You don't see like Manchester United having different shades of red, do you? I mean, it's always the same red. It's branding.
Yeah. Leave that color.
Stick with your damn color. Pick a color and stick with it. I don't care what color it is at this point. You want to be light pink, dark pink, salmon, whatever it is. Stick with it.
Oh, Peter, I actually wore my pink shoes
out.
Yep. I forgot to film them, but I did wear them. I had a couple people give me compliments. So I took them out on the street.
Very good. And I think that's where you need to wear those shoes is out on the street, not at the stadium, because the stadium's just not conducive to nice light colored shoes. They are too nice. They are too nice to destroy.
And they were very comfortable.
Oh,
and
nice. That's good.
Loves them because she bought those for me and they cost her an arm and a leg.
Yeah, they're not cheap. That's the most comfortable shoes. I paid a pretty penny. I am one of those guys that, I like going to theme parks, FYI. And I'll be there next week.
So Peter might not be on the show next week.
And I bought a pair of On Clouds. Those On Clouds, those are expensive shoes because those are like they're supposed to be the most comfortable theme park shoes. So comfort is important, Ed. Comfort is important. But hey, we're about to wrap up the show, but I wanted because I hear some more conversation about whether it was salmon, whether it was pink, whatever. We'll find out in due time. But having said that, you see quite often in their warm-ups they wear the pink shirt with the black pants. When are they going to do that on the field? That is a smart look. And look, they've got the black shorts. They got the pink. They can mix it up at any time. They need to roll out the pink shirt with the black shorts. That I think will look really sharp. And then you can flip it for the away. Wear the pink, at least for a year or something. Or look, for a game every once in a while, because they've got a black uniform and they got a pink uniform. You can mix and match. They're not like the old school Garanimals. Remember Garanimals, Ed? Are you old enough to remember Garanimals?
Of course, I'm only 2 years younger than you. Wow.
You have to match the animal so that you know what to wear. So I want to see them with a pink top, black shorts. I want to see that. And Tank agrees with me.
Sorry, we just had an accident over here.
Oh, not got into an accident.
No. We just passed an accident. My wife was like commenting on it.
Oh, your wife is like, oh, look, who's hurt? Who's hurt? Oh.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm on the show.
My daughter gets excited when she sees an accident. I'm like, don't celebrate that.
Exactly.
She gets excited.
No, poor people, that type of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. My wife starts saying prayers, but the good women in the families. But hey, anyways, Ed, we should wrap this up. You've been a trooper, hanging in there on the road, doing a great job. I generally would not do that because I'm the one that normally drives. I can't be a passenger. I get sick as a passenger.
It was tough for me to
relinquish control.
You guys heard me a couple of times, like slow down. But she did a great job, and she's a pretty good driver. She does, drive a little fast though, but otherwise we're good. Oh, look at that! Valeria, my daughter, called. Yep.
Apparently, she was calling, interrupting the show. How dare you? But anyways, hey Ed, so what are we doing tomorrow night?
Peter Brown, we've got the show in Spanish. I'm going to be with Marco El Oso Donoso, talking some more soccer, talking about a little bit of the stuff we're talking about now, talking about los Cuatro Fantásticos, the Fantastic Four, and the rest of Inter Miami. And we'll, you guys can join us at about 9:30ish. 9 p.m.ish if I show up early.
All right, sounds good. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining tonight. This was a lot of fun. It's only getting started. It's going to get a lot more fun as the season goes by.
Peter, we're also going to have some, some fun videos in between the week, so look out for those. Great.
I'm glad that happened, even though I couldn't show up for that. So good job. Don Bear is saying he'll see you tomorrow. Don Bear is Marco, the co-host of the Monday night show.
Marco,
those of you that don't know,
who apparently might have to do the Sunday show with me next week because people are watching Disney.
Yeah, I'll be in Epcot.
Sounds good.
So listen, here's the reason, real quick. We had to schedule a last-minute trip to Disney. Why? Because January 28th is the last day of the current version of the Country Bear Jamboree in the Magic Kingdom. This is a show that's been going on since around 1971. They're changing it. It's not going away, but they're changing it. And we love that show. So me and my daughter are like, we need to go see it one more time.
You said we love that show.
We love that show. We got to go see it one more time. So that's what we have to go do next week. But anyways, everybody, we got a lot of fun videos coming up this coming week and this upcoming shows. We're talking about planning some other stuff in the near future. So we'll get back to in the near future. We'll get back to the game day vlogs as well. So lots of good stuff coming up here on Football Miami TV. So thanks everybody for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.